Hello and welcome back to day 8 of Mule for in-depth course from Prasad Valaru. Okay, so today we are going to understand how to consume a RESTful web service using a component called as HTTP request component. And also we'll understand about choice router. Not only that, we're going to understand about some best practices which we need to use while developing the applications. So let us get started. So firstly, understand that we're consuming REST APIs. We are not exposing REST APIs. We'll expose REST APIs when I talk about a topic called as APIs, API design, API management, etc. But right now we are just consuming. Assume that you have some third-party REST API. We are consuming it. So actually, I have written a REST API using Java and using a framework called as Spring Framework. This is a jar which contains the logic, the code. To start this jar, I have written a bat file. So if I just open this, you can see here I am executing a Java command, Java space hyphen jar. And the server I want to start on 7070 and the base path is /rest. Okay. So if you are using Windows, you can just double click on rest. If you are using Linux or Mac, you just open this rest.bat and copy this command, execute it at your terminal. That's all. So this will start our REST API. Assume that this is created by some third party. We are just consuming it. I will show you how to consume it first by using Postman. So I'll open Postman. I'll have to give a request to localhost. 7070 is the base, is the port, and base path is /rest. And I know that in that REST API, there is an endpoint called as /products, which will actually give all the products. Okay, let me send a request. Hey, still connection is refused. Okay, I guess still the application is starting. It will take a little bit of time to start. Let us give a get request to /products. It will give me all products as a JSON. Let us wait. So now I'll go to Postman and I'll give a request. Yep, I got 200 as status code, and you can see array of all the products. So how many products do I have? I got up to product with ID 6. So from product 1 to product 6, I got 6 products as an array. Okay. If you see every product is having a name, this is HP, this is having Mac, third one also is having Mac, fourth is IBM. Like that, I have different products with different names. Suppose if I want to get a product by name, so I know that I have to give /products /name. So /HP, if I give, this will give me a product by name. You can see the product name contains HP. There's only one product. But if I give /Mac, it will give me all Mac products. You can see there are 2 Mac products, product with ID 2 and product with ID 3, 2 and 3. The name contains Mac. So /products /name will give products by name. And how to add a new product? I just copy one of the products, JSON. To add a product, I have to give a post request to localhost 7071 /products. Sorry, /rest is a base product, base path. Okay. In the body, I will have to select raw and the type is JSON. Now I'm going to post JSON. While adding a product, I don't want to pass product ID because I know that the server will generate the product ID. And name, I can give something. I'll give Siva book laptop. And all others, let it be same. That's okay. Now let us see if I give a post request. Sorry, it is 7070. Okay. So I got 201 status created. Product ID is 7. The new created product ID is 7, and you can see name is Siva Book Laptop. Fine. Now let us check if I give a get request to /products. Will I get 7 products now? Let us check. Hey, I can see the last product ID is 7, and this is the newly added product. So we understood that in this REST API, there are 3 endpoints. One is if you give a get request to /products, you will get all products. /product name, if you give a get request, you'll get a product by name. And to add a product, post to /products. That's all. These are the 3 endpoints. And till now, we understood how to consume REST API using Postman. Now let us do the same thing through Mule application. So I'm going to create a new Mule project. I'll give any name, consume REST. Okay. And here, actually to consume REST API, you need to make a HTTP call, right? So in HTTP module, there's a component called as request, by using which we can make a request. So I'll drag and drop this request component. You can see a flow is created. In this flow, I want to write the logic to get all products. So practice is give good names to your flows. By just seeing the flow name, I should understand what logic is there. And even for the request component, I want to make a get request to /product. So just I'll give the name so that I'll understand this will contain the logic to make get request. Now, here it is giving an error because I need to configure the request configuration. So I'll click on plus, and it is asking me for request configuration. I want to use HTTP for making requests, and host name right now it is on local host. So I'll give local host. Port, what is the port at which the REST API is listening? 7070. Okay. And the base path, I know the base path for everything is /rest. So /rest. Okay. So you can see the configuration is pointing to it. I want to make a get request to /products. If you see, once I save the URL, the full URL is updated. Localhost 7070 /rest/products. That's all. I've configured this request component to make a get request to this URL. It will make a request. Fine. But the thing is, in this XML, I have configured the global element. As I told you earlier, it is always a good practice to have all global elements in a single file. So I'll follow the best practices from now. So I'll create a new configuration file. I will name it as globals.xml. Now I need to configure the global element. I will go to XML part, and in this XML, I have this HTTP request config. I will cut this XML because I want it to be present in globals. I'll go to globals, and under XML, in this root tag, I'll just paste it. See, it is giving me some warning. I'm just saying yes. See, actually, a HTTP request config, I cut and pasted. Automatically, once I pasted, any point studio understood that I'm using a tag belonging to HTTP, and it automatically added the HTTP namespace here, right? Fine. So I've configured request connection. The name of this is HTTP request connection, or I can give a different name, product REST API HTTP config. I can give a good name. Name itself should speak everything. Okay. Now I'll go to my consume rest, and here I will make it to select the product REST API HTTP config. Fine. Actually, this flow is not having anything in the source. So how to invoke this flow from outside? No, you cannot invoke. So such flows are called as private flows. You can call this flow within the application, but cannot be called from outside because there is nothing in the source. Now I want another flow with HTTP listener. I'll rename this flow as main flow. And in this HTTP listener, I'll have to configure the listener config. Again, as a best practice, the global elements I'll configure inside global. I will click on create HTTP listener config. I will take all the defaults 8081. Okay. So I'll go here and I'll select the listener config, and I'll give here the path as /products, or to make it as different /my products. So if I give a get request to localhost 8081/my products, the control will come to main flow. Now from main flow, I want to call this get all products flow. How to call one flow from another flow? There's a component called as flow reference. So under favorites, I'll go to flow reference and drag and drop it inside the main flow. Okay, I want to call a flow called as get all products. And one of the best practices, every component will have a display name. Here, the best practice is whenever you are using a flow reference, make sure that the flow name you are calling will be the flow reference name, so that when I see the flow here itself, I can understand, oh, I'm calling get all products flow. Fine, I defined this flow. Now, let me start this Mule application. So remember, the REST API is running on this console at port 7070. And my Mule runtime is going to deploy. I'm going to deploy this consume REST inside my Mule runtime. Let us wait. After it starts, I'll have to give a get request now to localhost 8081/my products. Okay, so let me give. I think still it is starting up. Let us wait until the application starts. Okay, it got deployed. Products. Hey, I got it. I got as JSON. Fine. I got all the products. So I gave a request to my flow, and this main flow is calling this get all products, and this is making a REST API call. Whatever is coming, I'm getting it as response. Fine. I want this output to be transformed into XML. I just drag and drop this transform message component. Here, I need to write the logic to transform it to XML. So don't worry, I want the output as XML, so I'll have to give request as application/XML. Don't worry about what is this meaning. And simply, I'll have to write, whenever I'm writing an XML, I want products to be the root tag. And then the body should contain the array. So I'll have to write like this, payload. Okay. At this point, you might not be able to appreciate or understand what is the logic I wrote. This is some transformation logic to convert the incoming JSON to XML, and root tag I want as /prod. I want as products. So I made this change. I'm saving it. The application will get automatically redeployed if I save the changes. Let it automatically redeploy. Done. Now, if I give a request, you can see that I got root tag as products and I got all the products. Fine. As of now, don't worry. This transform message component, whatever I have written, even if you understand, don't bother. I'm just for just showing purpose. I'm transforming the output, whatever I'm getting from REST API to XML, and I'm showing you the response. Fine. I got all products, but I want to write a logic to get products by name. So again, I'll drag and drop one more flow with request components. I'll rename this flow as get products by name. And here in the request component, now we know that we are going to consume the same API, so base path is same. So I will not configure the global element again. I am reusing it. I'll have to give a request to slash get request to slash products slash after slash whatever is coming is dynamic. So I'll have to configure like this. P name I will write. So I want to make a get request to the P name is coming in the URI, right? This is called as URI parameters. So what I'm expecting is whenever request is coming, I'm expecting question mark, product name is equals to like this. I'm expecting a query parameter, product name. So that I want to pass as a value for this URI parameter. So I select here URI parameter. And I want to write an expression. I will select fx. Then I have to give this URI parameter p name exactly as a p name. And the value I can either hard code, let's say HP, but instead of hard coding, whatever I'm getting from query parameter, you know what is the expression to extract query parameter already, right? Attributes dot query params dot product name as string. So this is the query parameter I'm passing. I'm retrieving the value from query parameter, product name, and I'm passing it as URI parameter for the outbound request. That's all. I have a logic to make a get request. So I want the transformation to be same. I'll copy this transform message component and paste the same thing here. So the output, whatever, will be transformed to XML. Now I'll go to main flow, and now I want to test this by calling get products by name. I will save it. And again, see, don't have any confusion. The flow name, whatever is there, it should be given as display name. So I saved it. Let it get redeployed. Getting errors here. I think it is a problem with any point studio. Sometimes the deployment may not be successful. Let us see, is it still building? No. So I'll stop and restart. Don't worry, this is a problem with any point studio. Sometimes if it happens, you just have to restart your application or redeploy your application. That's all. Let us wait for a few seconds. Okay, it got deployed successfully. Now, if I give a request with product name as IBM, oh, I got the XML, IBM is a product. If I give Mac, I should get products which contain Mac, right? So I'm able to actually make a get request. And basically, I know how to actually consume a REST API, which takes a URI parameter like this, right? Okay. Now I have two flows. What I want to do is, I want to conditionally invoke the flows. So if there's a query parameter called as product name, I want to get products by name. If there is no query parameter, I want to get all products, right? So if you want to conditionally invoke the flows, what you can do is there is a router called as choice router. So I'll drag and drop it after the HTTP listener. Again, I'll drag and drop. See, it can have multiple routes. So I will drag and drop a flow reference in the first one, and then I will make it to point to get all products. Display name also I will write accordingly. Okay, I'll drag and drop flow reference into again here. Just carefully we have to drag and drop inside choice. Hey, there is one more route configured. Now I'll make my flow reference to point to get products by name. And I'll give the display name also the same. Fine. Now I need to tell condition when the request should go to here, when the request should go to this route, and this is default. I'll just write set payload and drag and drop set payload, and I'll write invalid request. Whenever I save, actually the Anypoint Studio is redeploying, and as the flows are not yet completed, there are errors. I'm getting warnings or error messages. Don't worry, ignore them. So now, still we have not yet completed. For this choice, I have to tell when the request should take this route or this route. I have to select here. Here I need to write an expression which will evaluate to true or false. Now I want to go to get all products when request method is get. First point, attributes dot method will give me what is the request method. I'll compare it with get. And attributes dot query params dot product name, right? It's a query parameter name. Product name is equals to null. That means if there is no query parameter called as product name, and if the method is get, then I want to get all products. Okay, I'll copy the same thing. And in the second one also, I need to configure the reverse. When attributes.get method is equals to get, and query parameter product is not equals to null, then I will invoke this route. Otherwise, the request will come to default. Suppose if I make a post request, definitely it will come to default, because for the other two routes, I have given attributes.method equals to get. Fine. Let it get redeployed. It is getting redeployed after I saved. Fine. Now, I will give a get request with passing query parameter Mac. So I got only Mac products. If I don't pass anything, I got, see, starting from product ID 1, HP, Mac, again Mac, again IBM. So I'm getting all Moto, all products. Fine. So we understood how to do conditional routing. Now let me make a post request. So it should go to default, right? Hey, I got response invalid request, whatever I have set in the set payload. Fine. Now we understood how to do routing by using choice. But there is a small problem. Here, this get products by name. Is it a private flow? Yes, there is nothing in the source, right? So we can call this flow from anywhere. Now I am calling this flow from the main flow which contains HTTP listener. What if I want to call the same flow from another flow where the source contains FTP? Possible, right? So in case if the same flow is called from a flow which contains FTP, do you think this URI parameter, this query parameter makes sense? No, right? So in the private flow, we are expecting some HTTP specific attribute. That means, don't you think that this flow is expecting a HTTP specific thing? Yes. So is it truly reusable flow? No, right? It is expecting something from HTTP. So the best practice is, again, please follow the best practices. Whenever you are creating reusable flow, whenever you are creating a private flow, means you want reusability. Don't write any protocol specific expressions. Use wheres. It expects a variable called as product name. Then what you can do is, here, before calling the flow reference, I will use set variable. Before calling the flow reference from the main flow, I'm using set variable. And here I'll set the variable product name. Then I'll write an expression attributes dot query params dot product name. Here, let's assume that here I'll give p name. Variable name is p name, and then I'm calling the flow reference. So it is wait. Yeah. So after setting the variable, I'm calling the flow reference. So here the variable name that I can expect is p name. I'll go here and then I will modify. Okay, I'll go here again and modify this URI parameter with p name. So carefully understand the concept where I'm using variables, query parameters, URI parameters. If required, you can re-watch this video and clearly understand how I am consuming, right? So now you understood how to consume a REST API. Very simple, right? While consuming a REST API, for example, if the actual other REST API requires a query parameter, how do you pass query parameter? You just click on this tab and write all key value pairs, query parameters. And if you want, while making a REST API call, if the REST API is expecting headers, you pass headers. And if you want body, you write the expression, what you want to send as part of body. So while making the request, in the request component, you will be able to pass request headers by writing an expression here, query parameters, URI parameters, body, etc. Very simple. This is the way to consume the REST API. So in this lecture, you understood how to consume REST API and how to use choice router. And also a very important thing, whenever you're writing a private flow like this, don't write expressions specific to any protocol like HTTP or so. Use variable, expect a variable. And in the main flow you are using HTTP listener, you know that this calling flow, the called flow needs a variable. You set the query, set the variable by accessing whatever from wherever you want, set the variable and then call it. That's the way. So you're done. Now, there is an exercise actually under my Git repository. I hope you have cloned my Git repository. In day 8, I have a PDF. So follow the step-by-step documentation, complete this exercise. Don't go to the next without practice. From here, you will be having a lot of exercises. Practice the exercises and ask me queries. Either you can ask me queries on the comment section, or I think sometimes I might be conducting some webinars. You can actually talk to me in that webinars. So that's all for today. Day 8 is done. I'll see you in day 9 video.